So for my last video where I did a code review on like a code snippet I found online, I asked the question to you guys on if you want to see more code reviews in the future, and most of you guys said yes. Actually, almost all of you guys said yes. And a few of you guys said that you want me to review your code. So today we have some code from you guys. This is specifically from one of my helpers on my Discord who also replied that gave me a link to his Discord, gave me permission to kind of do a code review on his code. Triz, thank you very much. So yeah, this is gonna be a very unscripted video. I've not prepared at all for this. I've not kind of looked at the code beforehand. So this is all kind of just an initial glance of Triz's code here. This is a Twitch bot written in JavaScript. Yeah. So quickly before we begin, I think I'm gonna try to make this series. We'll see. Basically, I'm going to allow you guys to submit your own code for me to code review. Some caveats though, it's got to be JavaScript, HTML, CSS. It can be React in JavaScript. It can be then or Java. I'm gonna stick to those because the ones I know well enough to do a code review on. It can be TypeScript as well. Python, C#, I'm so on. I don't know quite enough to say do a code review, but I won't limit it to that. But if you want me to code review your code, leave me a link to a GitHub or a paste bin down below of your code, and I will consider checking it out. But yeah, so anyways, on to Triz's. Let's see what he has. Let's just start with the index.js. Obviously, it's always a good place to start with just where your base class is. So it's going line by line here. So we're going to have a token of some sort for authentication. Yep. So he's doing authentication first, grabbing a token. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. Authentication can be its own separate thing. I'm not going to worry too much about the authentication. He checks up an API client. Is this his? No. So he's using chat client API client. This is from a Twitch library, so don't need to worry about that too much. So this looks like it'd be his own code though. So chat clients, this is a command. Chat clients from Twitch though. I guess the one thing I missed, I'm just realizing there's no project.json, which would make me think it'd be a node project, but it's not here. So is that an outside source? I would imagine so. Typically when you have a node project and you put a node project onto GitHub, you should include your project.json, just better tracking, but also because if anyone else wants to run your code, they kind of need that. So I don't know. I would think this would be a node project. So I'm seeing like file system here stuff. I'm gonna guess these are libraries, but there's no again project.json, so I can't really verify those are what they are. Let me do some research here on what this library is real quick. This will help me know this a little bit better. I'm looking at the documentation for Twitch chat client here. Again, it seems to be an outside library from npm. One thing it is, I search for commands on here because he's doing commands, redirects, and command edit groups on this chat client class here. And I'm not seeing it on here. Now, that's not to say that it isn't there, but this seems like a pretty good documentation. I'm not seeing it there. So these seem to be custom objects on this. You can do that in JavaScript. It's kind of weird. Because JavaScript, you can kind of just create variables where you want. It's a slippery slope to do this. I don't recommend doing this. I think I might know why he's doing it, because I think it's easier just to pass around this client everywhere and pull stuff off of there. I would advise against it. You can, again, JavaScript's a little weird with how variables work and kind of being able to, it's kind of like Python where you can just stick variables without really declaring them up in your class header or whatnot like that. But there's probably a better way to do this though. And I guess the reason why you wouldn't want to do this is because you're adding extra things onto a existing library. You're injecting your own code into existing code that you don't control. So therefore you have no control on if down the line they actually add, say, a commands map to or a commands variable to that chat client. You can't control that, and now you have a conflict there. And basically you don't have control over that. but also other people using it, they don't know, or if you're on a team, so to say, they don't know you've added this there. I mean, even explicitly said it's not exactly listed on their documentation, so other people might not know it's there. Again, you can. I wouldn't recommend it though, personally. But anyways, beyond that, let's see what else do we got here. So he is file loading his commands, which is cool. But he's file loading. Oh, I just realized that I was just looking through the classes earlier. I was just kind of going through. There's a commands folder here. He's file loading these JavaScript files. Interesting. Taking the name from the name of the command is the file name. Okay, I mean it's very viable system. I mean, take the file name is the command, sure. It limits you a little bit if you're trying to do any complex naming. You can. I mean, it's a little odd to do this, I think. I mean, I don't know. This just seems odd to me. I'm not gonna say you can't do this. Again, I don't know JavaScript, like in the back of my hand. I don't know every in and out about what's the best practice here. So I'm not gonna say don't do this. This seems kind of weird to me to load JavaScript files like this. It's a neat solution. I'll go with that. It's definitely a neat solution. I'll give them that. So whether it's right or wrong, I won't say. I probably personally wouldn't do this. But again, I'm a Java dev by nature, and I do know React a bunch. I've been doing a lot of React for the past 2 years. So I tend to stray towards Java conventions and kind of Java styling and stuff with object orientation and all that. So I would do this probably a little bit different with my commands, but it's a neat solution. That being said, though, this looks okay, not bad. Oh, okay, so this is events. So he's pulling events. He's the exact same thing. It's an event. On register on join. So these must be. Okay, so these are like Twitch events. So I'm still get on raid. Okay. Oh, he's literally just exporting a default function. Again, not my style. I mean, a lot of these code reviews, I will say, are going to be a bit subjective. Obviously, you can go to anyone with a code review, and it's going to be a very subjective thing. When it comes to programming, there's not a black and white line that there's no line in the sand of like, hey, this is good, this is bad. Some things there are, not everything though. Especially in programming, a lot of things are not a line in the sand, good versus bad. There's a lot of good solutions out there that maybe aren't the best, but are creative and whatnots, but they aren't the best. I mean, again, and I personally wouldn't do this. This seems a bit weird to me. Exporting a default function for on join. My question is, what's the point of doing this? What's the point of registering this file and doing this? I mean, ignoring the whole file loading part. I think the file loading, ignoring all that, I think you can just take all that, skip it all, and just do a init events method. That basically all it does is you would obviously import your files at the top, but all it would do is just do client, chat client, on register, and then it would call the on register method of that. I'm not a fan, I guess, of this whole system. It can definitely be made a lot better. I think Triz is over engineering this. The commands make sense. Obviously, you can keep adding commands. They can be different and all that. But when it comes to events, because you're not adding them to some sort of growing list, they all map one-to-one. I don't see a need to go through this process of going through all your event files, importing them, and then just one-to-one mapping them up to some sort of method, I guess, in this library. So I guess my recommendation here is to ditch the whole read every event. Just import all the relevant events and just simply make a init events method that all it does is just takes each one of these lines and runs each one of these lines, and instead of doing this event.default, just call, you know, on join. On join. You can even call it on join to on join. That's naming probably isn't the best there, but you get the point. I think this is over engineered for what needs to be done. You have a one-to-one mapping. It's not like commands where these are all just genericized into a growing map. You have one-to-one mapping. Just do it straight up. You don't gain anything by dynamically loading these files, I don't say. Commands, I'll let someone else, if they know better than me, comments on if this is an okay system. I can't think of anything inherently wrong. It's a very well thought out solution for this. Let's go on to the next thing. So actually, now that since we're talking about commands, let's go to the commands. What does the one look like? So clip.js. Oh, this is an interesting. Oh, this is like the JavaScript, like JSON. It's a weird object notation you can do in JavaScript because everything's an object weirdly. So these are properties. Then you have a method here or a function here that's like part of the object as a whole. It's a class without it being a class. Is kind of what it is. I'm not a fan of this object. I don't like this style of JavaScript. I know you can do it. I don't really see it that often. I know it's not as popular. I don't know if there's any downsides to it. I tend to avoid export defaults. I feel like they're not. If you're doing it, it seems off. But in this case, yeah, because you're just taking the object and you're exporting the object there. You're making them all the same. And this is kind of where, as a Java developer, I just say this is your class. You make everything inherits a base class. It's done that way. Every class is a name, a usage, an alias. It's all there. You just put that in your constructor and whatnot. Obviously, as a JavaScript, you can't do that. There is no object inheritance in JavaScript. There's classes though, but you would need TypeScript for the inheritance bit. So, but you definitely, at least you definitely do have I guess they're all genericized in this master list, aren't they? Actually, I should put this back on index. So when you put them all into your commands here, yeah, you probably just call a specific command. Where is actually, how are the commands called? That's a good question. So it's gonna be events on message. If I had a hazard guess, we would be looking for commands. There you go. Grabs the command out of here. Command default to run. Yeah. And it's just seeing this default everywhere is where I don't like it, because you would just want to do command dot on command or command in this case command dot run. Yeah, I don't know. This is more of I'm not sure of it because it's not how I would do it, and I'm not familiar enough with this type of JavaScript code style to say specifically. These don't look right though. These capitalized method names. Yeah. Convention, lowercase these, please. Yeah, it's one of these. It's thinking that they're class. That's why it's highlighted. Yeah, you'll see just how it's colored differently here. It's code convention. I mean, it's a nitpick, but just yeah, you should probably lowercase these just because. Yeah. I was gonna say let's move on, but hold on. Boolean is bot admin index of user. This is gonna throw you off though. I bet you this isn't right, because what's config? Hold on, that's actually a potential bug here. This you got to be careful of. Again, it's a speculation because I can't see the config. I'm guessing it's just a file that you have your tokens and stuff in. That's probably why it's not tracked. Index of, so the first off, I'm not a fan of just taking an integer and smashing it to Boolean. It's just kind of bad practice to me just to do that. But ignoring that, index of user. What if your bot admin is Triz123 and your user is Triz? Index of, if my brain is working right, should return 1 in either case of Triz123 or Triz, which would make both users a bot admin, which is not what you want. You only want Triz123 to be a bot admin. because both of those are going to give you an index of 1, because I believe the index gives you the first number it starts with, so it actually be 0 or 1. I don't like this. Definitely just do config bot admin triple equals user. If you want to, 2 lowercase at all, and that'll help you. I just see this as a bug or a problem waiting to happen. Alright, so yeah, Triz, beyond the stuff that's kind of more of a personal preference, like, you know, your JavaScript kind of class object layout with how you do your files, beyond that, the only really problem I saw was, again, that bot admin I just mentioned, and then some kind of fixing of lowercasing method names. The only other thing I really saw was, again, this event. I think this is overkill for what you're doing. Going through your file and loading them, and then when you load them, you map them 1-to-1. Just import them all right away. You know what you're gonna be using, and because you're gonna be mapping it. So there's not really a need for you to dynamically load it in, because if you add a file, well, you still gotta add your case here. So I guess I don't see it. You're not really kind of benefiting from doing this at all. It's just, again, it's overkill. I think you should simplify a little bit and just 1-to-1 map your event files directly. Don't dynamically import them. Beyond that, though, again, I don't do this personally. I don't dynamically load JavaScript files. Obviously, I know you can, and you've done it here. So I'm not gonna say don't do that, because I'm not gonna tell you to not do something I don't know enough about it. So it's a neat solution. I'll say that it's a neat solution. Definitely, I say if you can do more research and you can come back saying it's okay to do, then yeah, go for it. In this case, it's fine. If it works for you, it works. So, and the only thing I'll say is, again, I would avoid doing this. By your point, it's probably fine, because it's only you developing, and you're aware that it's going to cause conflicts in the future. So I'd say there's no rush for you to change it, or there's no need for you to change it. But again, I personally, for newer programmers who are doing or getting developing, and then for you, Triz, also for future development, I would say try to avoid adding your own data onto objects that you don't control. Would be a good start. But otherwise, though, neat little bots. Definitely very nice, and it's dynamic. You can keep adding commands as you need. It's very simple for you. So yeah, I think the only thing again was to add your package JSON if you so wished. That way other people can kind of view it more or be able to use it. But yeah, I think that's all I got for this code review. But again, if you guys would like to see your own code reviewed, I'll leave a link down below to the GitHub page. Again, keep it to kind of vanilla HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or React if you still want, or JavaScript, or not JavaScript, or Java, just Java. Those are the ones I can do right now that I can actually feel comfortable enough to review. Again, C# and Python, maybe in the future, we'll see. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to see more of these code reviews, let me know. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you. So, Triz, again, let me review your code, and I will catch you guys all next time. Peace out.